We'll start recording, and howdy ho, everybody. I'm Caliban Darklock. I'm not wearing pants. Where my knickers at? It's such a stupid joke. I never get tired of it, but it's so stupid. Okay, so obviously I'm cleaning my screen here. And as you can see, I am working my way through the hiragana. I still can't sight read Japanese, and I am working on learning my hiragana so that I can do that. And I should know it by now. I really should, but not pay much attention. My retention isn't very good, and that just doesn't work out well. Also, I have tilted my screen back because I had this issue. I had the screen sitting up much more vertical, and I noticed that when I was working up toward the top of a piece, my hand would go numb. And I got to thinking about it, and I was like, because the screen's vertical, I've got my hand, it's like up here, and that's above my heart. And if you've got your hand up here for an extended period of time, that reduces the blood flow. So I'm not getting sufficient blood flow to my hand, and I tried to lower everything down so I could keep my arm down farther and my hand would be below my heart. And that way we get a little assistance from gravity, and that should improve stuff. This may not be as much of a problem for you if you're like, I don't know, not really fucking old. But yeah, I've been moving some stuff around. Hold on. Remember to turn the microphone back on after turning it off to blow your nose. Anyway, yeah, I've been working on my hiragana and katakana here. Let me go ahead and save that off. I've also been doing a kind of a warm-up routine. So save this as kana.clip. We'll close that out and create a new document. So I've been doing this warm-up routine, and the way the warm-up routine works is that I start off on kind of a black layer, and I work on line quality. This is a new thing that I'm doing, where I get up in the morning, I go and I shower, and after my shower, I come back and I sit down, and I have this liter of water. And this is all I'm allowed to drink until it's gone. I'm not allowed to eat anything. I'm not allowed to drink anything until this is gone. I get out of the shower. All I do is drink water, and while I am doing that, I work on this. And what I do is I just kind of come in here, and I use a fairly large brush. I've been using a 30-pixel brush. And what I do is I try to use a light touch. This is not very light at all. What is going on here? Is input affecting brush size should be pen pressure, so why am I getting nothing? This is weird. I'm going to restart Clip Studio Paint. Do not save. I'm going to shut it down, and I'm going to pull up Clip Studio Paint New. And we're going to see what we get here. Cancel. New piece. Why is pressure not working like at all? The hell? Let me see if I can't figure out what is going on here. Can't detect the tablet. Please plug it into, then open the driver again. Can't detect the tablet. That's a mess. Okay. let's see what we got here. There we go. So that's all I needed to do. Let's get our windows back up. And all right, that should do it. I don't know what just happened there, and I don't know what you saw or got to see or how everything shook out on that. But yeah, let's go back to this here. Here's notes. I'm going to close that and restart. Okay. Close, do not save, brand new. Here's my line art. And the first thing I do is I duplicate this and I create a duplicate layer, which is for line quality. And then what I do is I just kind of come in here and I draw lines, but what I try to do is I try to be very light with my pressure, and then I try to control that and make it kind of fatter. And I've been trying to work with lines that get thicker and thinner as we go down. And I do these going in different directions and working in different ways, and I try to get I do diagonal lines, and I do them with both a pull down kind of motion and also with a push up kind of motion to try and work on just my ability to get the line that I'm trying to do. I'm not great at this. But I work on kind of getting that sense and that feel and being able to get a kind of tail at the beginning and at the end, or just at the beginning or just at the end. I'm not as good at getting just at the beginning. Because going from thin to fat instead of from fat to thin is fairly easily, and going thin to fat to thin, thick to thin to thick, that's really kind of that's difficult for me. Can't really think of when I'd use that though. But I just draw all of these lines. I draw them in all different directions. I draw them going in all different ways. And the point is just to kind of get better at drawing lines and think purely about the line quality. Not about like what this line is supposed to be, but just about what kind of line I wanted it to be. Do I want it to be thick all the way through? Do I want it to be thin all the way through? Do I want it to be thinner on the end and thicker in the middle? Or do I want it to be kind of fat and chunky? Or do I want it to be skinny and squidgy? And I literally fill the entire page with this. And like I said a moment ago, I found that my hand was going numb as I did this, because I was having my hand up in the air a lot of the time. Which, that's not good. That's a circulation problem. So I moved things around to try and fix that. I haven't been having that problem the last couple days. And in addition to line quality, I also work on line accuracy, which is what I do on the next page. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But all I'm doing here is just kind of drawing lines to try and get them where I want them to be and make them look the way I want them to look. Sometimes I do curved lines, sometimes I do straight lines. I always work with a fairly thick brush tip so I can use the pressure dynamics. This should ultimately pay off in terms of having higher quality line art, which right now it's not, but I figure if I do this for a couple of months, it should produce a noticeable change in how my line art works on literally everything. Like here, I'm noticing that when I go up, I have trouble getting very thin. So I'm going to try and work on that a little. And I'm just going to work on that right here and right now, trying to go thin as I go up. Yeah, I can get very thick quite easily, but getting thin. That's fairly difficult for me for some reason. I also have a bit of difficulty going up and to the right. But I work on going in all directions and doing all kinds of different stuff. I work on different kinds of angles. And I just fill up the whole space. I fill up the entire area with little lines. And as I get toward the end of it, I get less concerned with what kind of lines they are. But if I just let myself kind of get into the flow of it, then I can usually keep some notion of, ooh, I want to work on that, and concentrating on like a particular thing. But in the end, I just get this layer that is all full of line. Another thing that I like to do is I'll draw two lines, and then I'll try and go right in between them with another line. And then I'll try and get right in between those. And I just go right in the middle of everything as much as possible. And that's just kind of the thing that I do, and that's the first segment of this. And the next thing I do is I work on line accuracy, which is where I put dots on the page and I try and draw lines to the dots. And I start off, I do about half the page doing a double dot thing. I'll show you in a moment here. And then I do the other half with a line accuracy. And with line accuracy, what I'm doing is I draw a dot and another dot, and then I draw a line between them. And the idea is to go precisely between the two dots. And I draw at various angles. I go in both directions, and I do a bunch of that. Sometimes I try to go very long, sometimes I go kind of short. Sometimes I retry. I do not do the ghosting thing, because that is not the way that I tend to want to work. The whole ghost through the line multiple times and then draw it. I don't actually find that it improves my results measurably. So I figure if I just practice dot, dot, draw, I figure if I just do that, then that's what I'll learn. And again, as I'm doing this, I'm also thinking about line quality. And once I get about half the page full of those, it's around here that my arm starts to get tired. Then I start doing 3 dots, and I try to draw a curve. These I don't worry overly about line quality. What I'm going for here is to be able to say, okay, here are the 3 dots of my line, and I got to go through that, and I've got to come back around here. And just kind of getting used to that sweep through a specific location. Getting that sweep through there is really, it's more difficult than it seems. But it's more accurate for the kind of thing that you're going to have in an actual piece of work. I don't beat myself up over getting it wrong. I just kind of go, oh, that wasn't very good. Like right there. And especially when I've got a lot of ground to cover, that becomes kind of difficult. But what I'm really going for is I'm just going, okay, I'm going to try to do the thing. And however I do, I go, okay, that's how I did. And if I did good, great. But if I didn't, then that's fine too. The main thing is that I'm trying to just kind of get my brain used to, here are the 3 points, let's go through the 3 points. And no matter how close or how far away I am, It's just, that's what I do, and then I move on. This is a very Chinese sort of way to do stuff, because in Chinese martial arts, one of the things that you work with is, if you've done something right once, then you know what right feels like and what right looks like, so you ought to do it right every single time. And you just keep doing it until you can, in fact, do it right every single time. Which I can't, but if I keep doing this for a few months, then I should get really good at it. And that's kind of that. And then one of the things that I've been doing this thing that I saw on a hand video, which was the idea was draw flat meshes. And basically you kind of draw a flat sheet, and then you go, okay, well, here's how that would look if you draw out the mesh on it. And you're supposed to think about that and go, okay, well, here's the way that looks in 3D. But I don't feel like that's really been helping me out at all. I don't feel like drawing these meshes helps me. And I don't know whether it's because I'm doing them wrong or because I've just like already internalized what there is. Like, one of the main things I know I don't have right is the perspective on these. Like, I don't do a very good job of dividing them equally, and I certainly don't if you put it at a deep perspective like this, then I definitely don't do well placing the various mesh in perspective, especially when you're talking about the divisions as they go back. But I don't feel like that's supposed to be the point of this exercise. I just don't feel this is all that helpful to me. Similarly, there's another thing that I've been doing, which is to draw solid mesh figures. So let me turn off the flat mesh there and delete that. And then the solid mesh would basically be, you draw a circle, but then that circle is supposed to be a sphere. So you draw your contour lines on the sphere. I don't think this is helping me. I don't think this is helping me at all. I don't see any value to this. And especially when you go into cylinders, like I don't think I'm learning anything from this. I don't think anything is coming out of that for me. And again, I don't know whether that's because I'm doing it wrong or because I already know everything I'm supposed to know from doing this or what. But I don't feel like that is teaching me anything. Whereas, you know, on the line quality stuff, it's like when I look at the line quality stuff, I can see there's a lot of stuff that I need to work on here. There's a lot of stuff that I need to concentrate on. There's a whole lot of room to improve here. And with the line accuracy, you know, yeah, a whole lot of room to improve here. A whole lot of room to do more. A whole lot of room to do better. But But yeah, when it comes to like the solid mesh and the flat mesh stuff, I don't feel like these are being particularly helpful. Now, what I do feel is helpful is I have also been doing some stuff around. I've been doing some stuff around value studies, where I'll take just plain white and I'll take a fairly large brush. And I'll go, okay, here's a cylinder right here. And then I'll take that cylinder and I'll kind of refine the shape because I've done a bad job on the back of this. And now I'll kind of refine the edge like so. And having done that, and working in a raster layer, I'll go, okay, well, we're going to say that, that this top edge here is kind of facing a bit away from the light. So it's sort of this light gray. And then we've got a shadow underneath right here. And from that shadow at this point, I'll take the blending brush. I'll kind of try to draw that shadow upward. I'll kind of draw the shadow up using the contour of the object. And I try to sort of create the shadow that should be on it. By drawing the shadow up, and then after drawing the shadow up, you kind of draw the light down. And then you draw the shadow back up. And I just kind of converge on what feels like it ought to be the right shadow. And then every so often I come in and I smooth across like this. Try and get that. Try and get that proper feel to it. Drag enough shadow upward and enough light downward. And I kind of like the idea of we're going to draw the shadow upward and the light downward. And just try to get a sort of smooth blend in here. And I don't always do a great job, but I feel like this is actually giving me an opportunity to experiment with how various concepts around this work. I'm trying to draw this shadow upward. Around the contour of the object, and I'm thinking about the object as a thing in 3D space, not just as a shape on the page. And by thinking about it as an object in 3D space, I get kind of a better understanding of what I'm working with in terms of shadow. Now, I'm not trying to like teach anything here. I'm just saying this is the stuff that I've been doing to try and warm up and practice at the beginning of the day. Because I feel like I'm missing a lot of stuff out of the fundamentals. So this is my effort to try and kind of get more of those. And again, here I can drag the light into the bottom and drag the shadow into the top. And I can smooth it out. And I don't know how well this is working at teaching me how to shade, but it is giving me a lot of experience trying to blend, trying to get the blending looking right. And I'm not sure really how useful this is going to be in the grand scheme of things, but that's sort of these exercises that I've been doing up here in the vector arena, where I go with my line quality and my line accuracy and the solid mesh and the flat mesh, which I don't think are helping. And then I'm doing this sort of value study thing here. I feel like some of these things are making a difference, and they're making me feel like I'm accomplishing something. And I think kind of backing up and working on these fundamentals is making a difference. It's getting me to think about things, and backing up to think about fundamentals, I think, is something that I haven't been doing lately, and that I need to do more of. Now, what I need to proceed into from this is I need to not just work on my fundamentals and warm up. I also need to move on and do like some finished pieces. And not sure how to do that really. But I'm thinking maybe I want to do some kind of rough studies and some just like general thoughts around painting specific things. Like I had this thing I was working on a while back. I had this thing that I was thinking about, which was here under I had this kind of idea I was working on that was like a crowd in a city. And I was kind of working around the concept of doing this sort of creepy crowd of people that had odd, disturbing expressions on their faces, and I wasn't sure exactly how to go about pursuing that, but I've been thinking lately that this is something I should work more on. Is trying to do something like this, and maybe do a whole bunch of studies around that concept, the city street and a crowd of people, and just trying to work on concepts for what to make a crowd of people look like, and how to put disturbing expressions on their faces, and what makes an expression disturbing, and how precisely am I trying to disturb people with these expressions. And I don't know, I sort of think of it as I think of it as a sort of Shadow over Innsmouth kind of concept, where where it's like everybody in town is looking at you like you're the one who's wrong or weird or messed up, but all of them look like they're weird and wrong and messed up. So it's that whole feeling like an outsider thing, but also feeling like the outsider in a group of outsiders. Whereas, like, if you were in a regular crowd, you wouldn't feel like an outsider. But you're not in a regular crowd. You're in this crowd, and this crowd is fucked up. So you feel like an outsider because you're not one of these fucked up people. I watched the movie Dagon a couple of weeks ago, and I've been thinking a lot about Lovecraft. I've been thinking about his position as kind of the king of cosmic horror, and I don't think he really is the king of cosmic horror. I think that crown actually belongs to Lord Dunsany. And I don't want to go into that too far. I made a post on Tumblr about it where it was just like, hey, you look at the story Taking Up Piccadilly and tell me that Lovecraft ever did better than this. And Taking Up Piccadilly is not even a whole page of story. It's just in this tiny, tiny, short space. Dunsany goes, hey, humanity is irrelevant and we're bothering people and they're going to fuck us up. And he made it so distressing and disturbing. It was noisy and bad, and we grew weary of it. We are not what we appear. And there was one sentence he said, and it was all dark and full of the southern stars. And it's like, why the southern stars? Why specifically the southern stars? And I invested a little bit of time. I'm still investing time thinking about this. I think a lot of Dunsany's work is just amazingly evocative, and he does it so quickly and so Dunsany gets his message across so effectively in so few words that he just makes Lovecraft feel childish, because Lovecraft is just like word salad and it's absurd and it goes on forever. But Dunsany just kind of nails it to the wall all at once. One's mind goes further in dreams than it does by day. Wandering late one night by the edge of a factory city, I came to the edge of hell. And it's just that little thing where he just goes, I had a dream where I was walking by the city and I came to the edge of hell. The air was foul with cinders, and there were sharp edges and the edges of cast-off things, and I saw a great angel there building in plaster and steel. I wondered what he did in that dreadful place. It's just so evocative the way he says it, and I've done a bad job because I'm trying to repeat just this brilliant writer from memory. The place was foul with cinders and cast-off things, and there were half-buried things with sharp edges. And I saw there an angel working. I saw there a great angel building in plaster and steel. I wondered what he did in that dreadful place. And just that one line, I wondered what he did in that dreadful place. And there's an ominous sense to that sentence. It's the whole thing of you don't want the answer to that. So, yeah, Dunsany is effective, and I think he does a better job of cosmic horror than Lovecraft ever did. And Lovecraft read Dunsany, and when you know that Lovecraft read Dunsany, and you read Dunsany yourself, and you go back and you read Lovecraft, you can see Lovecraft trying and failing to be Dunsany. And it's just, it's kind of sad. And I kind of wonder at that, because for so many years I thought Lovecraft was this great visionary, this great writer, and he really wasn't. I mean, he came up with the Cthulhu mythos, but the Cthulhu mythos is really not that. There's not that much to it. He just made up some monsters, you know? And there was a kind of inner circle that helped create a bunch of stuff. But a lot of it was just suggestion, and then he added on to it, and when you really come down to it, he only came up with a few things, and most of those were cribbed from existing mythology. I just kind of, I don't know. I feel like Lovecraft's vision of cosmic horror was fairly naive and simplistic. That it was childish. And I know there are lots of people that are going to be upset at me about that analysis. Such as it is, it's not much of an analysis. Lovecraft was kind of dumb. I don't think Lovecraft was kind of dumb qualifies as any kind of real analysis, but yeah, that's how he comes across to me. He comes across as kind of dumb. Because everything he does has that kind of, it has an underlying sense of racism and xenophobia to it. And it's, it doesn't weather the time very well, whereas Dunsany kind of does. Dunsany doesn't really lay anything at the feet of foreigners and black and brown people and people who speak foreign languages. And I think that alone is a good reason to prefer Dunsany to Lovecraft. But I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point. In any case, that's kind of where things are. I'm working on this fundamentals stuff, and I'm trying to think of how I'm going to do actual finished work and try and turn stuff out and be productive, have things that I can show people, things that I can share, build up something akin to a portfolio. I don't really need a portfolio because I'm never going to go and beg somebody for a job as an artist. But I kind of feel like building a portfolio is an important task in the development of an artist. So I feel like I need to start trying to build one and having things that go in the portfolio. And right now, pretty much all I have is I've got the Gargura curtain call thing, and then I've got the 10 Pensagami for a groping festival, and that's like it. I don't really have anything else, and I feel like I should do something else. I should have more to show people. So yeah, I need to put some work in on that. Anyway, do a little YouTube dance. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, all that happy horse shit. And yeah, okay, bye.